Well, in every episode, we have the IELTS expert section. And this is going to be the time where you're going to learn the actual knowledge and the actual tips that will make you a better speaker of English as well as a better taker of IELTS. So let's welcome our lovely IELTS expert, Melanie. Welcome back and have a seat. It's so great to have you back. And I'm so excited to be speaking with you today on more tips. But before that, let's have a quiz for the audience.
Let's do it.
So audience, we're going to have a quiz for you right now. Let's have the quiz. The question is, you need to read every word in the text to answer the questions in the reading section. Is this true or false? Audience?
I think it's false because we can use skimming and scanning skill to answer the question quickly.
Our audience said false.
Our audience is very smart. Well done.
And that brings us to the reading tips. Melanie, what reading tips do you have for us this time?
Okay. Well, I was actually teaching one of my classes about this yesterday evening, and we were talking about the best way to approach the reading test. Every teacher will tell you something different about skimming and scanning, for sure. But this is my opinion. What you should do is take 1 minute at the start of the test to skim through the main ideas in the text. And the way to do that is to look at the first sentence of every paragraph and to look for the nouns. The nouns are the ones that will tell you the content of that sentence, meaning the content of that paragraph. And if you just take 1 minute to do that, your brain, which is an amazing thing, will actually start to remember the key word, the key content of every paragraph. And then later, when you're scanning to find the answers, your brain will remember, that topic is in paragraph C, that topic is in paragraph E. So you don't need to read every single word, but you can use skimming and scanning to be more efficient.
That's wonderful. Those are some great tips. I'd love to still open the floor to our audience to be able to ask you a couple of their own questions. So audience, who has a question for Melanie?
My name is Lan and I come from the University of Languages and International Studies. I have some problems with the speaking test, so I have a question. How to expand the ideas in the speaking test if we receive the unfamiliar topics?
Well, the first thing to remember that's very important is in the speaking test, there's no category for task achievement, the way that there is in the writing. So that means you can slightly change the question to make it fit something you really do know about. My best suggestion to my candidates is to first of all think, can you answer the question from your perspective, something about your experience or your family? And then go a little bit further and talk about Vietnam. Do you know anything that happens with that topic in Vietnam? And can you then give an example from America or Australia or anywhere else you know about? The important thing to remember is the examiner doesn't have a perfect answer he or she wants from you. The important thing to remember is there's no task achievement mark. That means you can change the question a little bit to make it what you want to be.
That's wonderful. Those are some great tips. I hear that we have one more question. Who else has another question?
Hello everybody, my name is Tâm, but you can call me Bin, and I'm junior in National Economics University. Come here today, I have a question about speaking test. Vietnamese people used to use many idioms and advanced vocabularies in the IELTS speaking test. So how do you think about it?
Well, of course it is important to use less common vocabulary. You can't get to a band 7 unless you do that. However, you've got to be careful about memorizing or trying to memorize whole answers. If you do that, the examiner will know that it's not really natural speaking and it's not coming from you. So what's a better thing to do, from my opinion, is to memorize phrases that are true for your life. So, for example, I couldn't speak a word of English until I was 14 would be a great phrase for you to memorize if it's true for you and you can put it in any story that you tell. I would say, though, less is more. Try to sound more natural and have a mix of simple phrases as well as fixed expressions and more complex sentences, because in the end, that's how we speak in English. So absolutely do learn some fixed expressions, do learn some phrases that are true for you. But yes, I think in general, some Vietnamese students try to do that too much, and it doesn't sound natural. It sounds as if some of the answers have been memorized, and you won't score higher for that.
All right, well, thank you so much, Melanie. All right, so before we go on to our next section, I'd love to ask you a little bit about your own opinions and experiences. Today's episode is about conquering, within that line of thought, are there certain obstacles that you had to overcome in your life? And are there certain experiences where it took you a long time to get to where you want to be?
Oh, yes. I'll tell you honestly, I used to be terrified of speaking in public. I would say 10 years ago, the idea of being on a TV show would have been really frightening for me, and I would never have done it. So I do sympathize with a lot of IELTS students who are afraid of speaking in the test or nervous about speaking in class. And I think for me, just practice is what it took. Starting with teaching bigger classes and then volunteering to speak at public events. So by the time it comes now to speaking to 300 or 400 or 500 people, which I do quite often in big events, it actually doesn't worry me at all. So absolutely, I would not be IELTS coordinator for North Vietnam if I was still afraid of public speaking. So my advice to anybody is just practice the thing you're afraid of, if it's what you need to do to get where you want to be.
All right, well, talking about Vietnamese student, there's also a student that's waiting to show us what he's got.
Lovely.
And he's really very, very excited to be able to display his gift to you. And we're going to show him to you guys right now.
My name is Vũ Cát Tường and I'm 17 years old. I'm currently a senior at Kingman High School. I think the only important factor that you should know about me is that I always dream of one day being able to study abroad. I'm planning to acquire an IELTS degree soon. I know my English isn't flawless and my speaking skill is just merely average. That's why I'm going to this competition with a goal of gaining more experience and maybe improving my speaking skill along the way.
There we go.
All right, Melanie, it's our lovely time. We've just seen who our Voice of the Week person is, and I'm very, very excited to meet him, so let's welcome him out.
Lovely, thank you.
Cát Tường, where are you? Yes, I see you.
Hello.
Hello. You seem a little bit shy. Take it away and good luck.
Let's go. Okay, let's start part one. Are you interested in the news?
I think kids in my age don't really care about the news because the news is often long and tedious. They could watch cartoons or drama movies, like something more interesting than the news. I could agree that the news is really important, but I'd rather spend time doing something that I love to do, watching boring news.
Okay, so now we're going to part two, and I'm going to give you a card and you will have 1 minute to make notes. Okay. Are you ready?
I am.
There you are. Okay, Tuần, you have 2 minutes.
I think we can all agree that older persons are often wiser and know more than the younger generations. But often or not, we actually taught an older person something new. Like one time, I taught my father how to use FaceTime and its video calling feature. Well, I think no matter how smart you are, when you reach a certain age, you will become hard to learn something new. So it requires the teacher a lot of patience. And in my case, it's really true because my father it's always reluctant to learn something new. I often find myself teaching him the same thing every time, and he always asks me these basic questions that literally everybody knows. But still, sometimes it's really fun because you can make a lot of memories. Like one time my father was so frustrating, he thought the app was broken because he couldn't call another person, but actually he was clicking the wrong buttons the whole time. But time passed and he actually mastered the apps, and he said that this app was fantastic. It's really helped him because he traveled a lot and he wanted to see his family on a daily basis. So with this apps, he can actually see his family miles away.
Thank you very much. And so now we'll go to part 3 of the speaking test. What do you think is the best way to help older people learn?
First, you have to have patience, and second, you have to go into a lot of details. You have to teach them, like the teaching method of spoon feeding is like you have to pay a lot of attention to small detail. You have to reteach them a lot, and you have to explain like really closely, because if you use word that they don't know, they won't understand how to use the app.
That's the end of your speaking test.
Thank you, Mel, and thank you, Cát Tường, for your performance. Right now, we're going to give the audience a chance for you to vote. You have about 30 seconds to vote on your phone as to what band score you think Cát Tường has achieved. Your time starts now. Well, the scores are in. 44% of you voted for a band score of about 6.5 to 7. 46 of you voted for a 7.0 to a 7.5. And 10% voted for above a 7.5. So that's what the audience thinks. So, Cát Tường, are you excited to hear what Mel has to say?
Yes, I do.
All right, Miss Melanie, take it away.
Wonderful. Well, well done again, audience. I think you're just getting better and better at this. Absolutely, I would agree with what you said. There were a lot of strengths in that. Most of the corrections that I've written for you are around phrasing. So sometimes you made small mistakes with fixed expressions, and those you can memorize. I'd suggest, in order to improve your mark a little bit, to work on using different tenses in an answer. For example, when you were talking about teaching your father to use an app, and you used the great phrase, it took several attempts to get it right, what I'd suggest doing is saying something like, once he'd spent time mastering the app, he was able to use it confidently, and in future, he'll be able to use it by himself. Okay. You see? And that way, you're combining a past continuous, a past simple, and you're using present continuous to talk about the future. But I think you did a wonderful job.
Well, audience, you guys have voted. Melanie has definitely commented. It's now time for me to invite Melanie and Cát Tường to come out here because we have a special gift for you. Come on out. With every Voice of the Week participant, we do give them a very special treat. It is a collection of IELTS FACE-OFF merchandise. Thank you. And Melanie, would you like to do the honor?
I would love to. Congratulations. Well done.
And Cát Tường, now you still have a chance to win our large prize, which is the Voice of the Year prize. And do you know what that is?
Not really.
Not really. Well, okay, I'll tell you about it. It is basically this huge grand prize at the end of the year for the winner who's voted for by the audience, by you guys, as well as by our judges, to be the best voice of the week or voice of the year person. This person will get an opportunity to spend one whole week in Sydney at Macquarie University, all paid for. So right now, guys, I'm going to show you a snippet of what Macquarie University looks like. And Cát Tường, take a look. Okay, everybody. With every IELTS episode, we want to show you a glimpse of a foreign land that you've not been to before. We've shown you Study UK 101, and now it's the time for us to continue to show you what studying in Australia is like. So take a look at Study Australia 101. That's going to come right up next.
Hello Puppet, it's your very own Michael Lu for Oz 101, and today we are at a castle? I don't know, you tell me. Judging by the British architecture and the Gothic design of this place, you must be thinking that I'm at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, but actually, no, we're actually in the heart of the city of Sydney at Australia's oldest ever university. But you Potterheads out there, don't be so devo because there's still a lot of magic here in this place. So let's take a look. I know you're all mesmerised by the old rustic looks of this campus, but don't let the traditional looks fool you. This university is also about innovation as well, and a great representative of this desire for innovation is this building that we're heading into right now. Here we have sculptures that sort of represent some of the world's greatest problems and how the university is attempting to solve them. Here we have something related to plastic waste. And moving on to this other great sort of sculpture we have is dementia. They all represent some of the most important researchers that aim to unlearn the world's greatest challenges. With over 400 study areas available, the university's world-class faculties and schools have a lot to offer to the world's latest generation of problem solvers. The university also features interdisciplinary open learning environment units to accelerate collaboration and enhance productivity.
Like open our networking with others people. I have been participating in a lot of talk shows of like very good hosts where they point out like the clear link between capitalisms and the environmental issues.
Our faculty is linked with so many famous big companies in this world, in the industry, like Bosch, Ford. We all have the programs for the students to come to these companies to work with them in actual project.
Students at UCIT have the opportunity to engage in real-world projects that bridge the gap between theory and practice. Surveys have shown that 35% of those skills required to excel in a job today will be different in 5 years. In response to this, the university has reimagined its courses to keep students abreast of the constantly evolving world of business. Practical implications such as technological awareness are ingrained in the uni's programs.
They're actually very supportive and motivated, and they actually give me their own personal experience as well as their real life experience, how to apply financial knowledge into real world.
Some students have even applied knowledge and skills gained in their pursuit of becoming an internet sensation. Tom is one such case.
So the University of Sydney offer a lot of upgrades and development inside the school, and which also has a lot of courses which apply directly to the real life scenarios. I can use all the techniques that I have to learn, like post-production, to apply to my product.
Gạt sang trái hay là gạt sang phải đây, vì vất vả nên anh mới pha vào đây. Nhiều người quá nên chẳng thể biết là rồi các tín đồ cứ ngỡ rằng đó có phải là điều đáng tin. Gạt sang trái hay là gạt sang phải đây, vì vất vả nên anh mới pha.
Here at the University of Sydney, the classroom doesn't only take place in a classroom, it also takes place on sports fields such as the one that I'm standing in front of right now. And what makes it even better is the fact that there are lucrative scholarships for high-achieving sportsmen as well. Sports are not the only way over 130 nationalities on campus interconnect. There are over 200 clubs and societies that provide endless opportunities for networking, fun and leadership.
Not only do they offer professional services, but also social activities that help give you that break when it comes to academic study.
Among these are Vietnamese international students who are certainly not missing out.
We are basically organized events every Friday night, and actually opportunity for the Vietnamese students to come and meet each other, actually have some relaxing time and enjoy interesting activities.
Now that you have witnessed the beauty of one of the most beautiful campuses around the world and also explored the vast opportunities that it offers, well, you may be thinking it is the right time, the best time for you to hop on your broomsticks wizards to fly straight here for a great life at a university in Australia. And right now, thank you so much for accompanying me on the show. It's time for me to teleport you right back to the studio.
If you guys are on the quest to doing really, really well in your IELTS exam or even in your quest to learning English, our expert today has given you a lot of tips. Also, there have been a lot of tips, a lot of great questions that are coming from our audience. With each show, we talk about a different topic, and this week's topic is about conquering the peak of Olympia or conquering the Everest peak. And with each individual human being, we have some really big goals that we're all trying to achieve. For me personally, a couple of years ago, it was being very toned and getting a six-pack, even though that seems like a really, really small thing. It's not saving the world, but it was a really, really big challenge for me. I was able to do it, and now my goal has changed. So share with us your goals, make sure you talk to us, and make sure you share with us how you plan to achieve some of those goals. We wish you to be confident and focused in your journey towards all of your goals. We'll see you again soon. Ciao, ciao, ciao.